Welcome to this episode of EideCast. Is this thing on? My name is Mary, and I'm here with Tom Borchard.
Hi.
Welcome.
Am I supposed to be something awkward? Is this thing on? I've seen half the people do that in their interviews.
You can.
Okay.
Is it on? Are we on?
Is it on?
I think
Okay.
we're good. All right. Well, Tom, starting us off right away, what do you do?
Oh my God. I feel like I read that was one of the questions you're going to ask me. And I feel like everybody who's watching this is probably wondering that question because people don't know what I do. Okay, so on paper, my job title is I'm the web director. I kind of oversee a little bit of our websites. I've got a couple of people I work with. I got this genius that I work with here that helps us like maintain and keep a lot of the websites going. We create a lot of things for our websites. It's really kind of fun and engaging project. I also work with our Motoplex store up north. I help them with a lot of their advertising that they do. And really, they kind of do a lot of it. I just kind of help facilitate a lot of the technology and keep things running for them, help them with their events. Like we got a big one coming up this week. I oversee our rental car company, which I shouldn't take credit for that anymore either, because really I've got Casey that works with us and she really runs the department. I just kind of help set it up and deal with the problems when they come up, which are pretty minimal, so it's not too bad of a gig. I don't know. I do a lot of other weird little things I've collected over the years too. I do sales for our U-Drive, our tech company. I maintain a lot of computer systems that we have, our CRM and stuff. I don't know, a lot of weird things that nobody else knows how to do just because I have all the passwords for all the things anymore.
Very nice.
So does that answer the question?
A little, yeah.
I feel like people might be interested in that one because I get that a lot of times. People ask, what would you say it is? You do.
You're a man of many hats, so you wear a lot of hats.
But I don't wear hats, though, is the thing.
You have them in your closet, though, right? Or...
I do have a bunch. I buy them optimistically that I can wear them, but I have a large head and they never look good on me. So I'm a man of many hats that wears no hats.
That's fair. How long have you been with Vern Eide?
I just crossed the 18-year mark.
18 years,
like
wow.
Last week. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that's been a while. I was thinking about that the other day. That was like the Bush administration when I got started here. So it's been a minute.
Okay. Where did you start? I'm guessing you've kind of worked your way into where you are now, or where did you start with Vern Eide?
Back then, I started as a car salesman. I was in the internet sales department at the Honda store. So that was kind of how I got my start there. Did that for 2 or 3 years, something like that. Eventually had an opportunity to move into the service department. I worked on the Honda service drive I did 7 years on the service drive. I kind of joke and say that it was like hard time because that is a hard job. I have a ton of respect for the guys that do that because that was it's a lot.
Yeah.
You're dealing with customers who are never in a good mood when they walk in and try to just get through the day, a lot of hours. So a lot of respect for those guys. And then I kind of flipped over to the marketing and the website team. It's been got to be about 9 years or so by now. I didn't do the math on that before. I wasn't. So it's been a while since I've been doing this. So.
Very nice. Is this kind of your favorite that you've done so far, or do you have a favorite job duty that you've had?
Favorite? I don't know. I mean, I kind of enjoy it all. I definitely have had a lot more fun since I've gotten into the marketing side. It's given me a lot of freedom to kind of explore, projects that are a little more of interest to myself and stuff like that. So it's not boring. I've gotten a few things that are my responsibility that I never expected, like rental cars. I never expected I'd get excited to talk about rental cars like I do, but here we are. So,
what is your favorite thing about your job?
Favorite thing about my job? One thing?
Because top two?
Top two? That even sounds like a hard thing. I don't know.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind is probably just the, I don't know, I'd probably be completely transparent if I said the people I get to work with. As I've done this job for a long time, I've got to transition from, being the guy who's working on the service drive to now I'm managing small groups of people and helping different pockets of things. It's kind of interesting I don't know, it kind of feels like I became an adult along the way. It's kind of weird just thinking back about how, I was the lost idiot 20-year-old at one point who had my old boss that was like mentoring me and guiding me through life and just like teaching me these ultimate like adult basic things. And now I'm on the opposite end of it. Like I've got young people that are working with me who are asking, like I literally had to help somebody tell them how to register to vote the other day. And I'm just like, wow, that's been a while since it's like, that's like adult stuff. And now I'm the adult that
No, you're
people
adult,
are coming
yeah.
to. It makes me feel old some days. I try to like, it's like, no, you're mentoring, you're not old. That helps me settle that a little bit better in my head. So I don't know. I enjoyed the working with the people, getting to, help people, get to be a little bit better at their job and guide them. And I don't know.
In your time here, is there any one person that you can point who's made like an impact on your employment or you as an employee?
Oh, I mean, that's pretty easy. I'll shout out to an old boss of mine, but Greg Allison. I mean, when I worked on the service drive, we worked together for like 7 years. And to this day, I couldn't tell you why he liked me because we met when I was probably 24 years old and I was a cocky idiot back then. Somebody disagree with me? No one's even looking. But, he kind of took me under his wing, kind of was with me through some of the harder points in my life. And, it's funny because I was thinking about that. He still messages me every single day.
Really?
Like, it's literally like when I'm checking my phone in the morning, I have a message from Greg Allison first thing every single day. And he hasn't worked with us probably in like 5 years now, but we stay in touch and, he's done a lot for me. A lot of the things I've learned about, how to work with people were from him. And it's kind of weird too, because he had his struggles at the time too. And I don't know how he was taking care of me when he was dealing with all of his stuff. It's very, very complicated, very layered relationship, I would say. So that one.
Perfect. How did you get started at Vern Eide?
Oh my God. I was selling stuff for another business and I wasn't making enough money.
Okay.
Back in 2005, I was named the top salesman in the state of South Dakota for Radio Shack. Do you remember
really?
Radio
Yes,
Shack?
I do.
And then they offered me a manager position. So I got to go to their training training management program. Went to my first corporate meeting where they had the other managers in training. They laid out their grand plan for how we're going to change Radio Shack and move into the 2010s. And I remember leaving that meeting going, these guys are going down. I got to get out of here. I am not going down with this ship. So I just bought a car at that point. I just bought a Honda Civic Si, and the salesperson, Jill, she suggested to me that I might be good at car sales at the time, and I kind of just dismissed it because I had this other thing that I thought was going to be good. Anyway, I came back, interviewed a few times. They flat out turned me down.
Really?
I got turned down. I interviewed with like 11 different people at 3 different locations at Vern Eide, and I was kind of starting to take it personally. So, but finally, one of the managers told me that I didn't have any experience, so I should come back when I had some experience. And I kind of took that a little personally, so I went and I got a job at a buy here, pay here lot in town. I won't name them, but they're still in business. We sold some cars. This even came up in conversation last week at work because we was working at this little buy here, pay here lot. And I remember the day in which I was just like, I need to get out of this place because they hired a company to come in that was doing an ad for them and they were prepping for their little sale. Have you ever heard of the little sale? They literally hired a group. I don't think there's a PC way. I think this is the right way to say it.
Okay, I think I'm...
Midget wrestlers. They hired midget wrestlers to come in, but then they dressed them in suits and they had them running around the car lot, getting videos of them like dancing on the buy here, pay here cars. And we're running a promotion called the Little Sale.
I feel like that's a good time to...
I was just like, how am I like, I was so embarrassed to be able to say that, oh yeah, this is where I'm selling cars at, Mom. Yeah. Don't watch the TV though. You don't want to see the ads. And I pretty much kind of reasserted my path to coming back to Vern Eide. I kind of like guilted one of the managers into hiring me.
So this is what I'm dealing with right now?
It was a little bit more direct. The guy who turned me down the most still works here, so I won't name Gene's name. But I remember I came back and I was like reasserting myself. It's like, no, I can sell cars. I'm proving this, but look at what I'm dealing with here. And Gene kept telling me no. And finally he says, I love this. He's told me, well, I tell you what, I'll think about it over the week and I'll call you on Tuesday, Tom. How's that sound? And I wasn't taking no for an answer. So I showed up at 9 o'clock on Tuesday at the Honda store, walked up to the reception desk, and I met Camille, good friend of mine now. And she was pretty new too. And I said, hey, is Gene in? I was supposed to talk to him today. And she told me he wasn't there. And I was like, okay, cool. And she asked if I wanted to leave him notes. I wrote a little note, handed it to her, and then got to the door, and I came back and I asked Camille, it's like, is it like something came up today? Or is Gene like, is this like his regular scheduled day off? And she's like, oh no, Gene never works on Tuesday. He always has this day off. And this is how our friendship started. I was like, let me rewrite my note. And I remember I wrote, hey Gene, sorry I missed you. Guess something must have came up. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. Anyway, he hired me that day because he would probably tell you that he just wanted me to leave him alone. And now fast forward, that was 18 years ago, and I'm still here. So there was a long story for a short, simple question.
That's how you got here. Hey, we love to hear it. Did you grow up in Sioux Falls, or where are you from originally?
East River, South Dakota.
Okay.
Originally from Aberdeen. My family lived in Pierre for a little while. Lived in Brookings for a decent amount of time. I graduated from Brookings High School. Moved here 2005-ish, and this is just where I've been, 2004 or something like that. So been here ever since.
Very nice. So. What does your family consist of?
Do I talk about my dog or my kids first?
I'll leave that up to you.
I'll talk about the kids first. So my son, Jax, he is 14. He's my athlete of the family. He's big into Taekwondo. Don't sneak up on that kid in a dark alley. He will knock you down. My stepson, Connor, he'll be 17 next week. He's at that age where he's trying to figure out his life, and he's bumping his head on all of his own mistakes. And I love the kid, but he's just like, he's making his life harder than it needs to be, but he's got his own plan. So I'm just trying to just encourage him. And then there's my dog, Worf. He's my best friend. He's 3 years old. He's a little Yorkie Shih Tzu mix, and he just follows me around, and he's just my best friend.
What's his name?
Worf.
Worf.
Yes. I'm a nerd, so if you're wondering where, that's not a dog name. I named my dog after a character from Star Trek. He's named after a noble Klingon warrior.
Okay.
Yeah. So his full name is Worf, son of Wickles of House Borchard. So
well, that's a wonderful name.
Yeah, it's funny trying to get all of that on a dog tag.
Yeah.
Like 3 lines. I had to buy a dog tag that was printed on both sides, so I had a spot for my phone number if he ever gets out.
Probably like 0.6 font on there too.
It's not very big, but he doesn't, like, even when he has the opportunity to run away, he just sits on the front steps and waits for me to come and let him back in. He's kind of boring, but he loves me so much.
If he loves you, hey, that's all that matters. A boring dog is better than one that you're chasing around town all the time.
I spend more time talking about my dog than my kids.
What is your why?
My why.
Your why.
My why. Like, why do I come to work and do the things that I do? I don't know. I mean, I'm going to probably circle back to just the people. I kind of talked about a little bit about, how I had that boss that used to look out for me. And it's kind of weird when I realized that I did flip sides on that kind of a thing. And now, like, I'm like helping people, further in their career. I have at least one really good friend that at least a few people I've mentored around the company, but a couple in particular that, I've really helped them get to that next point in their career and their job. And I remember one of them, when they finally took a big promotion that got to that next level, I ended up calling Greg. And I was just like, hey, you remember when you did that thing and you kind of like helped me get my life started? It's like, I did it now too. I helped somebody, and like, they're like thanking me for helping them and taking care of them all these years. And I just remember asking, I was like, am I done now? Do I have to do this again? Because it's kind of heartbreaking when they leave you. And he told me, yes, you have to keep doing it until you die. And I didn't like that answer, but I found a lot of reward in that. And I wouldn't have guessed that it would be just working with the people that really kind of inspired me through it. So that's what gets me, excited for my job. And there's just lots of fun little goofy experiences and projects I've got to do along the way that keep me engaged, because I can find these nerdy things that I get to work on.
So I've asked what your favorite thing about your job is. What is your favorite thing about Vern Eide as a company, or working for Vern Eide?
You know, especially comparing back to that other unnamed place that I don't mention that I worked at, we have a much different relationship with the community here. Um, you know, the little sales story. Like I was embarrassed to say where I worked back then, and that was a motivator. But I haven't felt that once since I've been at Vern Eide. Like when I tell people I work at Vern Eide, like there's like this an association. Like I don't understand it completely. It's like, but like it's like known as like a premium brand in the community. You know, I do a lot of work with like our motorsports store, and like so I'm like at our events, and like people in the customers, they know me, they know our ideals, they know what we stand for. So it's like there's a it's a prideful thing to be able to say I work for Vern Eide. You know, we do things like Operation Christmas. I got deeply involved with that a long time ago, and I still am. And that's like so much fun because, you know, it's kind of cool to talk about, even though we don't talk about it. We don't like brag about it, but it's still kind of fun to talk about a little bit because, I mean, we're going out most years, you know, we've helped bring Christmas to 300 and some kids. And, you know, from where I got involved in like the organizing of the program. And for me, that was so much fun just being able to like set up my little command center and know like all of these people are able to go out and do all these things. And, you know, it was rewarding seeing the numbers of what we're doing in the community and always trying to get more and stuff like that. Jim has been a bad influence on us. Like he's like, we need to help more. And so we got a big revamp for the program coming here that we're going to be talking about soon. And we're chasing bigger numbers.
Yeah.
And it has me so nervous for how it's going to go this year because the number of people we're going to try to help is bigger than we've tried to help in the past. So I am always very stressed in the beginning of December as we're dealing with Operation Christmas. But yeah, to answer your question, circling back to the simple question, it's just the community's proud of us. And that's different than what I've experienced at some of these other places I had so long ago.
Absolutely. When you're not at work, where can we find you? What do you enjoy doing?
Oh, when I'm not at work, you know, I mean, sometimes I'm chasing my kid on stuff. If it's nice outside, I prefer to live on two wheels. So I'm a big motorcycle enthusiast. I'm involved with the Abate organization in South Dakota, which is a legislative lobbyist group that help protect motorcycle rights in the state. I'm generally on two wheels, though, if I can, if it's nice outside. If it's cold outside, I mean, I'm at home. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. I'm almost always on some kind of adventure, going, you know, travel to concerts or a bunch of different things. So I don't know. I'm very rarely sitting still on the weekends.
That's
two wheels is a big one though for me.
okay. How many two-wheeler vehicles do you own?
A bunch. I don't know. There's like 7 or 8 in my garage right now. I haven't bought anything new in a little while. I was actually griefing my son the other day that I didn't buy a motorcycle in this year at all because I had to buy him a car. So I'm guilting him a lot about that because, you know, that's the sacrifice I made for you, you know, and he doesn't realize how big of a deal that was. So I'm just going to guilt him about that until he moves out.
Well,
So
hey.
me and my kid, we have a very interesting relationship. We're always kind of just harassing each other and
That's
trying
the
to
best
annoy
way to
each
have.
other. It is a lot of fun.
So you like to go to concerts too. What are some of the best concerts you've been to?
Oh, best. You know, okay, I was really surprised by this one. Because I do the Sturgis thing every year, stay at one of the party campgrounds where all the concerts are at. I would not have said I was a Jelly Roll fan.
Oh, okay. I wondered.
But damn, does he put on a good show?
It was a good show.
You know, because like he kind of went through this segment where he talks about his influences and kind of talks about his story, and he had a really good story. But then he goes through and he's like playing some like old school rap and then some country, and then like he's bouncing through. I think he did like a little set with AC/DC.
Oh, fun.
And then he got to the point where he covered Eminem's "Lose Yourself." And I lost my mind in the crowd, and I was just like, I wasn't expecting to hear that live ever. And where I would have said I was not a Jelly Roll fan at the beginning of the day, that was probably one of the best concerts I've been to.
Nice.
And that is well put together. So if you have the opportunity, you should see one of his shows.
I'd be open to it.
He does a good job.
I don't dislike him, but I've never really like gotten into him. But okay, if there's ever the opportunity, I'll take it.
Yeah, I didn't really know his stuff. You know, I'd heard that one song that's always on the radio, like It's like, I only talk to God when I need a favor.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that. Like, I have heard them. I never paid attention to
Yeah.
them, but now it's just like, okay, I should pay attention to this guy. He's got a good thing. So he's in my Spotify now too. So.
Very nice. What's the worst concert you've ever gone to?
We had an old employee that worked for us like 15 years ago that decided to become a rapper. I'm not going to name his name. He went in and out of prison a couple times. And in the last like 2 months, he invited me. He hosted his show. He was opening at Big's Bar here in town. And it was so bad.
It was bad.
It was so bad. Like, he was doing his own songs and it was terrible. And he was funny because he couldn't even get through his own songs without like getting tired. Like, he was like, these are the TikTok versions. I'm just like, you're just old now. I feel so bad because it's like, he's trying to live his dream and all, and
you gotta
good
start somewhere.
for you, but man, being a rapper from the Midwest and your big break is Big's Bar, I'm just like, oh, I hope he doesn't see this. He was so excited, but it was so bad.
It was so bad.
So
Well,
bad.
everybody starts somewhere, so give him a couple of years, maybe it'll.
I had $10 into it, so I mean, I've spent a lot more money on dumber things. So I wasn't upset about that. Oh, it was bad.
He probably appreciated the support from you.
Oh man, he came. He found me in the crowd. And hugged me.
Oh,
and,
that meant a lot to him then.
I mean, there was like 12 of us in the crowd. It wasn't that hard. No, that's an under exaggeration. It was like 40 people. But
well, he still appreciated the support.
Yeah, he did. He did, and I hope he doesn't see this now,
Hopefully,
because I'm making fun of him on the podcast.
Oops. So with going to concerts or enjoy going to concerts, would you say that you're a music person, or would you say movies or books?
You know, I saw that question was going to come up, and I put a lot of thought into that because I was looking around my house, and I have piles of unfinished books everywhere, like bookmarks, like playing cards. Like, I buy playing cards and I just use those as bookmarks, and I've got books everywhere that I haven't finished around my house. So
I can relate to that.
I don't know if I want to claim to be a book person, but I own a lot of them. I mean, movies, I used to be big into that mostly. You know, if there's a Star Wars or a Marvel movie, me and my kid are pretty quick to go there. So I probably should say a music person, but see, I'm afraid of the follow-up question because you're going to ask me what my favorites are.
No.
And I don't have a good answer on that.
I'm going to ask you your 3 least favorites.
3 least favorites?
Really throw you off.
That might even be harder. I have one thing I've learned about myself over the years is I have this problem. Like, when I listen to music, my brain doesn't hear the words.
You just heard like the melody.
I hear the melody, the music, and stuff like that. And it's come up more and more as I've gotten older when I'm talking about music that I like. Like, I'll say, like, oh, I really love this song. And then someone will like side-eye me and be like, do you know what that's about? And I'm like, no. And then I look up the lyrics and I'm like,
whoa.
I did not know that.
I have that same problem, so I can definitely relate to that.
So,
if you were to get in your car right now and like plug your phone in, what song would you play like right now?
Right now, if I got into my car right now, it would probably just be something more upbeat. If I got onto like one of my motorcycles in the summer, it's usually something slightly offensive. Like, I'll play a lot of gangster rap when I'm on my bike at max volume because I find that funny. You know, if I'm at home at night, the vibes definitely drop a lot chiller. I kind of went this weird phase where I was listening to a lot of hippie music, so that's like a lot of late night stuff.
What's hippie music to you?
Oh God, it's all peace and love stuff and just like little slow beats. And actually, usually the beats are kind of faster there. So it's just, there's varieties. It depends where I'm at. But this time of day, probably higher energy hard rock, something probably straight up out of the 90s, or a lot of punk rock music out of the old stuff.
Okay.
So, in that answer.
Okay. Okay. What is something people don't know about you? I feel like you're a pretty open book, but there has to be something.
This is one that I like to use as a conversation breaker when I meet people, when people are like, oh, 2 truths and a lie, stuff like that, because it is kind of a fun one to talk about. But I got to fulfill a childhood dream about 8 or 9 years ago, and I got to compete on The Price is Right.
Really?
I know, right?
That's
fun. See, like I said, isn't that like a catcher?
Yeah.
So, no, so it was a traveling show. I should qualify
Oh, okay.
that.
Was it the Washington Pavilion?
Yeah, it was like 8 or 9 years ago. It came through Sioux Falls. A friend of mine had tickets, and I remember I was at the pavilion. Yeah. And you know how this is so weird, because like I remember this. At the chairs of the pavilion, they have little plaques on the back, and they say who donated money, I'm assuming. the chair I had, the little plaque right in front of me said Vern Eide Motor Cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. And so like the traveling show is slightly different than the real one.
I was there with my grandma, actually.
When? What year?
2015. I just got my septum pierced, so it was like...
Oh my God, did you see me on stage?
Probably.
Well, there's like 3 different shows I remember. So like...
Okay, yeah.
They let 4 people up and like...
Yeah.
I just remember like they called 3 people up and then all of a sudden they go, Tom Borchard, come on down. And, you know, I was up on stage and bidding on some purses and...
Did you win?
Oh my God, I loved that. Well, so it was 3 Coach purses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much Coach purses are, right?
I probably could figure it out.
They're not cheap.
Yeah.
I always remember like the first person bid $300.
Mm-hmm.
The second person bid $800.
Mm-hmm.
The guy right next to me bid $801. And I just like instantly, I was just like, do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Do I do it? I'm going to do it. And I told myself I got one shot and one opportunity to seize everything I wanted. And I said 802, Drew. And next thing you know, I was on stage and they rolled out the hole-in-one putting game. And I am not a golfer.
No.
But I'm still a little bit disappointed because hole-in-one,
Mm-hmm.
that's a car game. Like, they should have pulled back the curtain and said, a new car!
Yeah.
A 2012 Chevy Aveo or something terrible like that because it's never a good car. But it ended up being a washer and dryer.
Oh, I think I was there because I remember... Well, maybe they give away multiple. I don't know. But I do remember there being a washer or dryer prize.
Oh my God, really? You were possibly in the crowd?
Yeah, I was up in the mezzanine with my grandma.
Yeah, so it was great actually because my washing machine was giving me a lot of problems. So the crowd helped me arrange all the prizes. I got to putt from the second to the front line.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I just remember I'm standing there just going, it's all
in the hips.
It's all in the hips. And one putt,
Mm-hmm.
and the next thing I knew, I had a brand new washer and dryer.
Winner.
And I was using it this morning.
Very
and it
nice.
still works. So it's about 10 years old, I suppose, now. So I really
Somewhere
need to
in there.
win a new washer and dryer in the next couple of years. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to pay for one at this point.
That's
in my life
fair. If
anymore.
you won one, I wouldn't want to pay
I
for
shouldn't
one.
have to. There should be like a prize game where I can win a washer and dryer. Why wouldn't I?
So if you had the chance to go on another game show again, would you choose Price is Right or which one would you choose?
Oh my God. That's a great question. I don't even know any other game shows at this point. I would be horrible at Jeopardy.
Yeah?
Wheel of Fortune, I don't think I would want to. I would rather go on the real Price is Right and try to win that Chevy Aveo that I got robbed of the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, who doesn't want a Chevy Aveo?
If you could choose any like host with Price is Right, who would you want to be the host at that time?
Obviously Bob
Bob
Barker.
Barker.
But I think he passed away
He did,
a few
yeah.
years ago. So
Couple
he's
years
a
ago,
South
yeah.
Dakotan.
Is he?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
He's was raised in like Pine Ridge. Or
Really?
Somewhere, one of those areas over in western South Dakota. I think I remember reading something like, I swear it was like his mother was a teacher on
Really?
one of the reservations or something, and he grew up in South
I
Dakota.
knew I liked him for a reason.
Yeah, well, and you know, he reminded us all to, you know, help control the pet population, have your pet spayed or neutered.
Mhm.
He's a good guy.
Good guy. For sure. May he rest in peace.
Yep, beat the crap out of Happy Gilmore too.
Is there anything else that you're wanting to share before we wrap up?
Open-ended question. I don't know. I didn't come prepared with a closing speech or anything like that. I don't know. It's just I've had a fun career. It's been 18 years. I've got to do a lot. I've got to end up in lots of weird places because of this job. You know, lots of things I would have never expected. I've literally, you know, been a guest at an embassy once. I've got to speak in front of huge crowds of people. I've got to chase some projects that are just pure fun for me with stuff like the Sturgis store especially. It's a really good place to work because, you know, with the way that we diversify our business beyond just automotive, I literally never know what we're going to get ourselves into next. And sometimes Jim will sit us down and be like, I've got an idea. And like everybody's just like racing. It's like, oh my God, what is the old man going to have us doing next?
Mhm.
And it's a little bit of a surprise every day, and it keeps me guessing, and it's always fun. So I would encourage everybody to try to come get work here if there's a place for them at some point.
All right. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Is This Thing On? And thank you for watching. Join us next time.
Thank you.